already mentioned NIL, and I've seen that you've been at least more active with it from what I knew. So what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a step out of my comfort zone. I had a stretch I still try to limit my time, again, on things that are outside of the books or swimming or just like investing in my friends. But when, you can monetize, yourself, I guess adding, building equity within yourself. When I talk about, financial equity, that's been cool. I've nenever really been asked my rate for anything before until now. So that's been cool, dictating that. Again, investing a bit of time in it. So with Cuts, for example, which, I'm got the hoodie on right now. They've been a great sponsor, really comfortable clothing across the board. And when there's like a post quota, it's like, all right, how would I do this? How would I go about this? And luckily, we have talented photographers on our team. So it's been cool, to work with Mike on that project. And, it's been fun to ride that out with him. And obviously it's cool to when you can kind of order a meal, I'll buy, get a dinner, and it's like, my work helped me get this. It's cool. And obviously the clothes are amazing. So I get to be comfy. And with the other stuff, more like, speeches or the courses, or the course that I ran in the fall, or just individual, swim lessons, other projects. It's been cool. And if people are willing to, again, give a little bit of money to hear you speak, hear your opinion, there's that much more of a responsibility to do right by them, and do the most in your capacity to deliver something, again, to the client, that's something that they're going to be happy with, and that they can trust. And when, swimmer comes back and says, hey man, like this worked, like I dropped time, or comes back and says, oh, I got so much out of this. If you have to give a speech, for an organization or something like that, and the people in the audience say, oh, I got something out of that, that's pretty cool. And so, it's not necessarily, again, about the financial impact, but I think the NIL opportunities have done so many things for athletes at the NCAA level, and it has changed the landscape of the NCAA. And I'm really excited to see how it all comes together moving forward. There's a lot of opportunity in this space, and it's very new. So I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Your values seem to be very aligned with the work that you're doing NIL-wise, at least how you were talking about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But right now that you mentioned how the NCAA could be impacted by it, what are your thoughts on that? Because many people aren't using their values to be aligned with these NIL deals. And
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like for NCAA-wise,
mm-hmm.
smaller sports being not football and not basketball,
of course,
I think NIL is great. But for the NCAA as a whole, with those two sports, do you think it's going to be a good thing?
That's a great question. That is a great question. I think, you have to look at each athlete as an individual. And it's more about the opportunity that the athlete gets. And yes, like basketball and football naturally are going to eat more, off of these deals. Schools stay afloat through, financial means, financial capital, and that's how organizations are able to thrive and grow. So naturally, they're probably going to put a little bit more focus on those groups. But I think, again, if you can find ways personally to bite at ambition, this is ambition for you. You get drive out of this. You're doing it. So it's like, I think people have so much to offer. It's just about digging a little and finding, all right, what gives me energy? Is there an opportunity? If not, let me create one. Let me start something. But if there is a channel of you being able to, exercise, work on those urges, and yes, like you're able to get a little bit of extra spending money off of it, I say do it. For me, that was like teaching. And so I was able to do it. And I like photography. I don't necessarily like posting photos of myself, but I do like comfy clothes. So if that's what they're telling me to do, I'm going to do it. And I do have an appreciation for photography, so that's been fun. But I think ultimately it's about schools making sure that their athletes are taken care of. These business models of college sports are very tough, and so as long as, again, the programs that do well enough to sustain as many sports as possible, I think that's what Cal is amazing at. So we have like 32 sports, which is unprecedented, especially in the Power Five. That is such a money-driven business, a money-driven area. It's expensive to be in the Bay Area. It's, rent is expensive here, rent on all of the facilities. So these are all things that, Cal Athletics and other programs around the country are thinking about. And so it will be tough for other sports to last, but I think, again, it's hard because, even coming from a non-revenue sport like swimming, it's stuff that makes us think twice. You see men's swimming programs being cut all over the country. But it's like, if there is a way, you just have to have a little bit of trust in the people that you surround yourselves with. If you're lucky enough to surround yourself with, again, people who will work hard for you. Not everybody has that opportunity, but I think if you find yourself in that situation, where you're unlucky on the short, if you draw a short straw, it's like, okay, what can you learn from that? And it's easier for me to just say, right? Because I'm on a team that is doing relatively well compared to other programs in the country. I'm not necessarily worried about my team being cut XYZ, so I can't speak to that experience. But if that were the reality for me, I would just try to, as hard as it is, look inward to what gives me energy. Because when things don't go my way, that's what I try to personally do. I try to find, again, a solution. And if there isn't one that's feasible, that's up to that person to do with that what they can. It'll be interesting to see how it looks. I think I don't think college sports is going to look the same even 5 years from now, especially not 10 to 20. But I hope that values are maintained and that people are allowed to be their best athletic selves in whatever sport they choose to practice, whether it be, swimming, gymnastics, tennis, football, basketball, baseball. I would love to see everybody be able to do what they want to do. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's awesome what you're saying. Like at the end, being able to do what you would like to do, because Cal, whatever people want to say about Cal, I think it's insane that, like you said, the 30 teams that we have here is
a lot of sports.
Dude, it's so many. Like,
yeah.
I think in the Pac-12.
It's the most in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
There's no other athletic department that has that many teams.
I don't even... Stanford would be the only one.
Stanford has more student athletes. They don't have more teams.
More teams, yeah. So it's like when you talk about spreading resources, Cal has been the exemplary example. They've been amazing. And so I know Mr. Knowlton has a pretty hard job. I'd love to ask him about some of the decisions that he's been forced to make, and some of them, how he feels on certain outlook or on the outlook for the future. But again, it's a lot of stressful stuff to think about, and in most situations, those things are out of our control. as student athletes, as individuals. So I think it comes back to the point of just like controlling what you can control. And unfortunately, the only way that sports are going to be able to thrive is if the athletes can maximize their equity, their value, which comes in a number of ways. So like you, for instance, you can put ads on these videos, you can dish these out. You can do whatever you want with it. Podcasting is a beautiful space. And so I like, it's amazing that you're doing what you're doing. I think this podcast, not only the people on it, not only you, but the model in and of itself is something that people can learn from. So I think the people that can just create their own, again, maximize their own equity through models that they can create, then I think that's going to be pretty powerful. And that's what's going to make these non-revenue sports last, because these aren't profitable models. So it takes a bit of tweaking here and there to make it work. But that's ultimately going to have to come from the athletes.
Yeah, no, it's something that's going to have to be worked out, because like you said, there's, 30 teams here.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take, 25 teams that aren't profitable, like you're saying. So,
Mine included. Like swimming doesn't make money. I'm sure.
Oh, mine included for sure.
Yeah. Swimming. We could. I'd like to see us start like maybe having tickets for our events, because I know there's a rich swimming population out here in the Bay Area, and so if kids want to come see, like, I think that's one way that $5 to get in the door at a swim meet, stuff like that. I think that could be beneficial.
Dude, I'm gonna be completely honest right now. When you mentioned that it was non-profitable, because I've gone to pretty much every swim meet for the past year. There's not enough swim meets, but which I get with the schedules. Yeah. It's the bigger meets. I get it. Makes sense. But two, it's packed every single time.
Yeah.
And when I see people walking in and out for free, I was honestly a bit confused. Like, it's a genuine question I have for Mr. Knowlton as well. Like, I've gotten the chance to talk to him multiple times, but it's like, why isn't it like literally that exact same number? I was thinking as soon as you mentioned it. It's like, if you charge everyone walking in $5, okay, maybe
for a dual meet.
Yeah,
for a competitive dual meet where, if you get Arizona State at speaker,
Dude.
if you get Arizona at speaker, you're seeing Olympians at work. So it's not like you're getting, whack competition out there. I don't know.
One of the first meets the first meet I ever went to, because this was post-COVID. I've been wanting to go for a while, but then COVID hit, whatever.
Of course.
Was the Virginia meet.
Yeah.
And I remember
electric.
Dude, I was there with a friend, and obviously it was right after Tokyo, and I'm like,
of course.
Dude, think about how expensive some of these tickets would have been, but I'm here at Cal, so I get to watch it for free. Dude, I'd pay like...
It's stuff that the world watches.
Dude.
It's stuff that the world watches from, again, a paper perspective on the websites, XYZ, but if you can bring eyes to it, the Virginia women that year and every year are incredible. They have great, guys on their men's team. And then you get the same thing at Cal. Our men's team and women's team have some of the best athletes in the world. And so I think if you can create an environment that gets people stoked a little bit, say you got some smoky flares or lights, cameras, action. I know that's not our program, but that's what's going to sell. You have to make it an experience. If people aren't willing to read a little bit and understand what's out there, you have to make it a spectacle. Even though the athletes in and of themselves, it could be pretty bare bones, dry setting, and these are still the best athletes in the world, and they deserve to be looked at. And if people want to come see them perform, then I think there could be a ticket there or two. But it's I think of the water polo game. I think of tickets, NCAA charging $50 to go see those boys play. And that should be the standard, because they again, these guys are the best in the world at what they do. So to have guys like Papa, like in your backyard, like the number one water polo player in the world, just an anomaly, just a talent that lives, and that competes at just the highest level. I mean, who scores 7 goals like to win a natty in the way that they, you know what I mean? It's just
insane.
like, it's stuff that is only seen in movies, and you get to see it in your backyard. And I think, there are opportunities for the quote unquote like non-revenue sports, to create a spectacle in and of themselves. And, there are other ways, like I'm sure with soccer, XYZ, other sports, again, that I don't really have experience in, but I know that with swimming and water polo, there's certainly an opportunity. And I know that opportunity exists with all of the other sports as well. So I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, I would love to see it happen as well. And it's crazy. Like, even what you were mentioning right now with it depends every time who you're swimming against. But regardless of that, it's like, even to watch the Cal athletes, like you were saying, like,
of course,
some of the best in the world already. But then and this is the crazy part, because in this conversation, I feel like I've gotten to know the personal side of you and then the business side of you right now. And we go back to like what we don't like to get what we like, which is the clickbaity side of, oh, Leon Marchand's ASU is coming to swim at Cal. But you get what you want of like being able to inspire a kid that'll buy that ticket to come in and see that.
Exactly. And iron sharpens iron. So it's like our two teams like are so good. And so that's the beauty of competition which is above the headline XYZ. Yes, you have to, in order to be able to make money, for sports, it's like, yeah, you're going to have to generate some here or there. But as long as it stays focused on the competition and the healthy competition, I think it can be beneficial.
So that's where you think the compromise is, like with business, in the sense of, well, it's clickbaity, it's attention, but it's for a good cause. That's where it works out.
And it's not even about like the clickbaity stuff. I mean, you pay for experience. And it's an experience watching Papa do what he does. It's an experience watching the Cal men's water polo team win a national championship at home, coming down by scoring 5 unanswered goals in the fourth quarter. It's like, that's what it is. That's what these guys are doing. It's simple. So it's like, you don't have to charge for it. Those guys can do their own thing and make their own bread, but I think the athletic department could, again, also eat a little bit, and, potentially fairly distribute those funds now that it's legal, now that it's allowed, as it always should have been, because ultimately these guys are the ones doing the work and drawing the attention. But I think it can be done. I think there is a real solution for it.
If you like this clip, then you'll probably like the full episode as well. Make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to my channel for more.